going to find anybody.
Yeah.
He was just like, you're not going to find anybody. And that's why when I met Rivka, and I wrote my book, that chapter is called Miracle of Rivka, because that is a miracle that she showed up, right? So, you know, somebody who's a little more educated, someone like my rabbi, right? He's not going to say, oh, I'm sure you'll find somebody. He'll say, I'm sure you're not going to find somebody, but the good news is that you're going to get a nice reward in the world to come if you keep this up.
It's not many Jews who talk that way.
Okay, it's only people who are educated. It's somebody who's a Torah educated.
How many in total? How many Jews have, like, seriously and not just as a throwaway line told you that you're gonna have a nice reward in the world to come?
I would say, I'm going to be honest. Those who went to yeshiva, who are, you know, are emastika yid, somebody who's learned, I'm going to hear that more often than not.
So maybe 15 people in your life?
No! A lot of people.
35?
I don't know the number. It could be hundreds. But I hear that. That's the standard yeshivish line. Okay? It could be that you're not familiar with it because you know.
I'm familiar with it. It's just not many Jews use that language.
How long were you in yeshiva?
Oh, I've just taken individual classes.
There you go. If you had spent serious time in yeshiva, you would hear this line more often. Because that's a yeshivish line. But you're, you know, with Balabatim, who've never been to yeshiva, you're not going to hear that line. You're going to hear the Yenta line, right? From the woman who never went to yeshiva. And she's going to say, oh, I'm sure God has somebody for you. Oh, he's got somebody for everybody. He found somebody for my cousin Joe. He can find somebody for you, too. And she was not easy to find somebody for, let me tell you. You know, and it's like they don't get it. These are people who don't get it. But somebody who gets it, been to yeshiva, understands my situation, wouldn't say something like that. They're going to say you got a good portion of the world to come.
Are there many tzedekahs working in strip clubs?
We already covered this. I told you I went out with...
but she was an ex.
Well, yeah.
But what about, like, currently, like, they just need
We already did this. Is this your friend?
But it's Baba Matzia.
Oh, it's Baba Matzia? What did he say?
Are there any tzedekahs in a strip club?
We already covered this. Bubba, we covered this. What was the story? That they're going to give us a lap dance and we're not allowed to touch them or something, and then you're going to try to talk them into doing more mitzvahs.
So, have you ever been in an Orthodox shul where a cell phone goes off
on
Shabbat?
An Orthodox shul?
Yeah.
What's an Orthodox shul?
Have you ever been to a Torah shul?
Yes.
Where a cell phone goes off on Shabbat?
Well, they're supposed to have it on vibrate.
I know, but have you heard it ring on Shabbat?
I've never heard that. But let's say like it happened.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say it happened.
Yeah.
Okay, now ask your question.
So, given your first-hand personal experience with various types of traditional synagogues, what would the reaction be?
I'm going to say it would be like a nothing because people are so watered down to it, you know, immune to it, and they just assume it was a doctor and he forgot to put it on vibrate.
Stanford, handoff at the 1.
Running with the ball.
Ran for 60 yards. And if it hadn't been so far, he would have busted it the whole way. He just got tired after running. Virginia Tech's had a really lousy run defense.
They're not very good. Okay, so now, what am I saying?
So he said there wouldn't be much reaction.
Yeah, because we know it's a doctor. I mean, it's like so cliche today. You know, you see somebody with this. Let me put it to you like this. One day I was walking around my neighborhood, right, on Shabbos, right? And there was a guy walking down the street.
Touchdown, Stanford.
They went 99 yards in 2 plays. Yeah. Okay. There's a guy walking down the street, going to his car, and he's on the cell phone. The whole time he's talking, he's
wearing
rapping.
a yarmulke?
He's got a yarmulke, he's got the tallest, the whole thing going, whatever. He gets in his car and he drives, right? He's parked down the street from the shul, right? Okay, now listen to me. If this was 25 years ago, I would think, okay, I get it. He lives far away, he drives to shul, he parks a block away, and he walks in, he looks like he's from, right?
Yeah.
But nowadays, no. This is what I assume. You ready? This is what I assume.
Yeah.
He's a doctor. He's been in the hospital all night with a patient. He broke away and he said, I'm going to go to shul for an hour. He leaves the car right near the shul. He walks to the shul. And as soon as he gets out of shul, he gets on the phone and he says, how's my patient doing? I assume that's what's going on nowadays. It's so cliche, especially in our neighborhood because they're all doctors, right? So, I mean, it's just like, it makes sense.
So what if
you could ask the question a different way?
Mm-hmm.
What if you know the person's not a doctor?
Yeah.
What if it's like like a 17-year-old
Yeah.
girl?
Yeah.
Who's like,
what would the reaction be? No, they're not going to answer it, but it goes off.
yeah, it's like in the chick section, and there's only one chick over there, and she's like 17. She does not have a doctorate, right?
Yeah.
So like, what is she doing with the phone?
Yeah.
Right. So I would still try to have Malamed Scoos somehow.
What?
Malamed try to give her the benefit of the doubt. And I'm gonna say she has her phone with her for an emergency, something, I don't know.
So what about a Kiddush? I saw this woman at Kiddush. She like dropped her bag and like all this money spilled out.
Did everybody dive all over it?
No, it was Shabbat.
Oh. But if it was weekday, they would have. What's your question?
Like what kind of reaction would?
I would think that people would just be like, she's a newbie. What do you want? What are you gonna do?
What if a guy showed up to Mincha on Shabbat with his Asian girlfriend? How many Orthodox shuls would just throw them out?
Hold on. Hold on. I'm going to say there's two factors here. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Factor number one, it could be that she is a convert.
Let's say there's evidence that it's not a convert.
She could be on the road to conversion.
Right.
She could be the daughter of a convert.
Yeah.
There's a lot of you don't want to say that woman's not Jewish, and it turns out she is, or she's on her way to be, because then you're an asshole, right? You're a bigoted, closed-minded, cold. This is what's really cold. It's much colder than just saying yes, because you're saying no. Right? And it's a fellow Jew, and if it's a ger, how dare you? How dare you? Because a ger is on a higher dregger, they're more beloved by God than somebody who's born Jew. You know what I mean? So how can you have that kind of attitude? What do you think a ger looks like? Gerim do not get born looking Jewish. Right? Gerim get born looking like Goyim. Right? So if a goy shows up at, somebody who looks like a goy shows up at your shul, you have to... You can't have that attitude. That's what I'm saying. So that's number one. Number two is, let's say for a fact, it's Michelle Malkin.
Yeah.
Michelle Malkin, who's announced she's
evangelical
Christian. She shows up with her Jew husband.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the other side of this.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the Jew husband there? He obviously wants to get a little more Jewy, right?
Yeah.
But he's brought her with. It doesn't serve you well to kick her out because you're going to be kicking him out at the same time.
Yeah.
Maybe 100 years ago,
50 years ago.
50 years ago, the prevailing attitude would be you intermarry, you either divorce her or you get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think today people are a little bit more embracing and tolerant, and they say, okay, we're going to work with the two of you together.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, she's welcomed here because you're here.
Mm-hmm.
And now we all have to kiss her ass because we want you to feel welcome here. So I think that's what's going on.
What if it was Sacha Baron Cohen and he's going to duke him? He walks up.
I don't know anything about him.
Did you ever see Borat or Bruno?
I saw both of them.
Okay, so...
But I don't know... Yes, but I don't know anything about him personally.
So sometimes he dukens...
well, if he's a Jew, is he a Jew?
He's a Jew.
And he's a Cohen?
He's a Cohen.
So what's the problem?
He made Borat and Bruno.
So what?
You wouldn't go up there and grab him and throw him off.
You know what? Where it says the mitzvah of the Kohanim are going to duch him, it doesn't say but if they film themselves swinging their dick in a major motion picture, then they can't. I don't remember reading that. It just says if you're a Cohen, that's what you do.
Okay, well you're a pretty amiable guy.
I would not have... We talked about this early on in the summer. I would not have kicked you out of my shul because of your involvement in porn. I don't have a problem with that. That doesn't bother me. That does not get under my nerves at all. You know what would get under my nerves? If you were, whatever, you were a doctor, a lawyer, whatever, whatever.